All right, hope so. Welcome everybody. We're tackling some technical difficulties right now, but we wanted to keep the streak, get your guys' answers, so we were able to check out your questions. So we'll get to those, and I'm going to be posting the link. I guess if you're seeing this, so you'll have found it, but we'll share the link, and hopefully you can view us on YouTube. But that said, today is the 21st of April, and this is episode 336 of Hump Day Hangouts. We got almost everybody here, so we're going to do a quick round of hellos and then dive into your guys' questions. So let me see. Chris, you're at the top of the list here. How you doing today?
Doing good. Was out with the race cycle today. Really good weather here, so can't complain. Everything is nice. Yeah, things are good.
Sorry, what was that?
Things are good.
Good, good. All right, well, Marco, you're next on the list. How about you?
And I'm good. I can't complain. There's many things that I can complain about. I cannot complain about the life I live and how I do the do. I was just talking to Rob about a client that has over 95 locations. So we're driving it nationally. We're driving it locally, but it's really nationally. And each location is either like at the same level as the one where we're driving everything from, or better. And so I'll be posting about this. Of course, I'm not going to show the client, but I'll be posting about this in the Facebook group so that you guys can see how this works. I'm not going to show why, and I'm not really going to show how. I'm going to show the results of how it works. But you can totally do this, and it's time after time after time. And as you build power, into everything, as you build into everything, and everything powers up and greases up, you grease up those wheels the right way, and the next thing you know is just snowball. It's a snowball effect. This has been going on for about 2 or 3 years. They've been doing since the inception of local GMB Pro, Bradley, and I can't remember when we released that, but I got that client right after the attorney. And so I just started applying everything on him. And then he said, well, you know what? I got these other, with them, the client is a them. I got these other locations that I want you to take a look at. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then I just started figuring out how everything was going to work together. And it seems like a nightmare trying to manage 95 plus locations, but they pay really well, so I don't mind. It's not a hassle to me. I just hire people. That's it. Just hire good people to help you. Train them the right way. Have systems and processes are the shit, so that you can train your people and they can create the systems and processes so that when you bring in more people, they train the new people, and it just flows like clockwork, man. Pay your people well, treat them well, give them time off. Don't have them working like crazy wicked hours. Give them what they deserve. Pay them, whether it's Filipino, Thai, wherever it is, in Africa, Latin America, wherever it is that you're hiring, pay them well, according, of course, to that country's economy. So you're not going to pay someone in the Philippines $2,000 a month, but neither should you be offering $150 a month. Find out what the minimum salary is, kick it up about 50%, 100% if you can. It's $450 a month, man, for a Filipino VA, untrained, of course. As they get trained, they get raises, they get increases, they get bonuses, they get time off. And these people are the ones that will help everything flow smoothly, and the ones that'll help you make the real money. That's where the real money is, when these people are helping you do the do that you can't do without these people. So that's my thought for the day. And the result of this is the life I live. It's
awesome, Marco. Thing, yeah, man. I can't agree more on the processes and hiring. And I've recently updated a little bit of how I'm doing it. And in the past, I've had trouble, and I think a lot of people do, finding good writers. And so I've updated and found some new places to look. And I just spent, over the last 2 days, I interviewed 9 people. And found some real gold nuggets. Now I can take the things I changed, pass that on to my team and be like, okay, now you guys can do this next time. So it's taken me a while, but any updates you can make to those processes, man, those things, that's just gold when you can get that stuff down.
Did you finally hire AI?
Yeah, that too. That's more of an idea generation tool. We got to talk some more about that. I know everyone's real interested in these AI tools. I'm sure Bradley can talk a little bit about conversion AI. I know Marco's at least played around, if not using these. But that's where I kind of stand on those right now. Still, I'm not saying they can't be used for production. I cranked out a blog post just to see if I could do it. And it was pretty good. Took me a few minutes of editing, but I really like it for the idea generation. I think good writers can use that to get the juices flowing. So anyways, before we dive into that, Bradley, how are you doing today?
Doing great. And yeah, there's, I've been using conversion AI for the last 2 weeks now for just a ton of stuff for like tier 2 type post things, GMB posts, going out and taking other people's content and just putting it into Jarvis and then hitting rephrase like a paragraph at a time. And it'll basically, it's not like a spinner. It understands the intent of the paragraph, the concept essentially. So it'll rewrite it, and it's really interesting because sometimes it'll pull in like some garbage and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's really, really good, especially for, I mean, they've got a long form editor, which I'm still, kind of messing with, but I'm doing a lot more shorter type posts like GMB posts and things like that. It makes it super easy because you like literally I'll just go to Google and search for, tree removal service or something like that and just pull up somebody else's article and then just grab a couple of paragraphs, put them into Jarvis, rephrase them. And that's the GMB post. Boom, it's ready to go. And they're all unique that way. And it's making things a lot more efficient. And I just want to add on to what Marco was saying and then what Adam was talking about. I've been developing processes for my VAs now. I mean, I always do that, but I've been doing a lot of it in the last few weeks. And I mean, the amount of work that it saved me, it's a lot of tedious work to develop the process. There's no question. And it sucks, man. I mean, it's awful. It's awful doing some of these processes because it takes so long. But once it's done, now it's like, what a relief, right? It's this weight lifted off my shoulders, knowing that I'm going to delegate that to somebody else and it's going to get done. Because if it was left up to me, it probably wouldn't. And so, it's really, really important. My new agency is really starting to build a lot of momentum. And I have my VAs to thank for that. Because if I didn't unload a lot of this work to them, there's no way possible I would be where I'm at with, made the progress in the short amount of time that I've had. So I want to encourage you guys to definitely, take the time to go through and put processes together, even if not for training others, it's to keep your own processes, intact and so that you can produce consistently, right? The same level of quality every time. So I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's happened to all of us, right? As much as it's like, yeah, we do a process, we do this, we do that, but you get in a hurry and you're like, I'll just do it this time. And then you come back like 3 months later and you're like, shit, I've got to redo this because I totally forgot what the hell I did.
Yeah, and even at the most basic level, and I've talked about this before, is just create a checklist, if nothing else. Even if you don't develop a full process to hand it off to somebody to learn how to do it, at least develop a checklist of like the important, the biggest steps and then chunk it down. Break the biggest steps up into kind of like, a group of tasks. And even like I said, even if you don't define every single step, it's good to have a checklist. That way, if you do revisit it in 3 months, that you can just pull up the checklist and you'll be like, oh yeah, this, and this, instead of having to kind of fumble through it all the way over again, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Well, let me run through some announcements real quick, and then we'll get into the questions. I believe Bradley was able to recover most of the questions. And then if you're watching too, you can ask them on YouTube on the sidebar there. We got the live chat feature we'll be checking out too. So if you're new to Semantic Mastery, new to MGYB, Heavy Hitters Club, find out how to shield your site. You won't have to worry about algorithm updates again. That's right. No algorithm worries. Actually, we got a funny picture we should probably post later. But anyways, you can get the free training we have about that at theseoshield.com. That's the word, the SEOshield.com. Next from that, we suggest getting the battle plan. This is step-by-step processes for getting SEO results, and you can find out more about that at battleplan.semanticmastery.com. We also have 2X your agency. Okay, if you're an agency owner, you're a consultant. We know a lot of the people that watch our YouTube channel that come to Hump Day Hangouts that are in our Facebook groups are agency owners or consultants. And if you're one of those and you're like us and you want to get more clients, you want to grow your revenue, and you want to scale your team, then this is a great place to go. Whether you're starting out and you are not sure what the next steps are, or you're already in progress and just want to do it faster, 2X your agency is definitely worth checking out. And beyond that, of course, is the mastermind. if you're ready to really grow your business, again, if it's an agency or brick and mortar, but you're wanting to really get deep into the digital marketing side of it, then an experienced community is going to help you grow a hell of a lot faster. You can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. And we mentioned it at the very beginning, but if you haven't gone to MGYB yet, highly suggest you head over there. This is where all the good done for you services are at. Syndication Networks, SEO Shield, link building, press releases, all that sort of good stuff. It's all the stuff that we use, and that's why it's there. And if you go there and you see something, or rather you don't see something that you want, just shoot us an email to support and let us know. All right. Let us know how we can help you out. And since we're on YouTube only kind of today, highly suggest subscribing to the YouTube channel. So if something like, I don't know, the site goes down in the middle of the day, then you can always stay up to date with Hump Day Hangouts. So with that said, guys, anything else we need to cover?
Did we explain to everybody that the site is it's changing servers and that's why it's down? I don't know. A lot of people are probably going, well, where do I ask questions? We do have the minute chat page. People can ask questions there. Hey, Adam, if I post this in Slack, could you add this to the
I think somebody did, either you or Marco. Marco might have posted on the YouTube channel or
YouTube.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. All right, cool. So we're good. We can get into questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's not a lot, and I have a feeling that we're not going to get any new questions during the webinar. So if that's the case, we'll just have to wrap it up early. But originally we were thinking about missing the Hump Day Hangout because the page isn't up. And then I was like, no, we can't do that. We've never missed a single Hump Day Hangout since we started, and we're almost at 7 years now. We've missed 2, but we had those were scheduled Wednesdays off. Where we had, notified everybody that we weren't going to be because it was on a holiday or whatever. So in almost 7 years, we've never missed a single Hump Day Hangout, and I'll be damned if we were going to miss one today. So, all right, let's get
We'll also monitor the YouTube comments just to let everybody know.
Okay. If you guys see one that just, interrupt me or whatever, and I'm happy to answer.
Will do.
So here is our page for the day, and it looks like Ed is the one that, or EJD, I should say, is the one that asked the first question. So he says, I have a question regarding the SEO Power Shield purchase. I have existing business citations. Stop posting. It's moving anyways, I was kidding. I have existing business citations, and I was wondering if those should be interlinked with the Power Shield, or should they be left as is and create new ones with the SEO Power Shield. Existing business citations. So I think the question is, if you have existing citations already published on the web, should you try to work those into the Power Shield for interlinking purposes, or just add new ones? I'll just tell you what I do, and this is a question that Marco will have the best answer for. But personally, what I do is I don't include citations in the Power Shield order, and it's just the way that I do the money site, any GMB assets, and then all of the Syndication Network properties, profiles essentially, and then for me, I have a Press Advantage organization page, which typically if I don't already have one for a brand, because I have my own subscription directly to Press Advantage as opposed to through MGYB, so I will usually have that organization page already created for the brand. If I didn't, then MGYB would create it when I ordered the SEO Power Shield. And then obviously the ID page and all that other stuff, which gets created for the SEO Power Shield order. So I typically do not include citations in the Power Shield. Probably could, I've just never done it. Haven't really seen the need to do it. So personally, I would say I wouldn't, again, the way that I do it is I don't bother with citations in the Power Shield, although there could be some benefit for that. What do you say, Marco?
Well, isn't a citation a reference to the source? Isn't that what it's for? It's information. They're using information from you to reference you. So that takes care of any issues, and that's what's expected. Yelp, Yellow Pages, local, wherever it is that you're going to go for a citation, whether it's hyper local or you're going to extend to something that's national, that's what it is. What you're claiming in the same as and in our entity stack, we call it the ad ID page, which is actually the entity stack where all of the organization information is located. Well, there you're claiming that all of these profiles are yours. You can't claim. Well, it's not expected for you to claim Yelp, although you can show it as same as. Although it's not expected, you can take the most powerful ones, the ones that bring the most power to you as part of your organization, which is really all it is information about your entity. So it is another node that's referencing you. But these websites are expected to have your information without that being in your schema. Whereas when you're doing your Facebook, your Twitter, and all of these other social media properties, those are expected to be part of your entity and of your brand, and you're expected to claim them in schema. I mean, the original purpose of schema and same as that was the purpose. We've extended it so that we include S3 and all of these other, of course, the ad ID page or the entity stack. But I'm with you, Bradley. Like, I'll claim in schema, but only and only in schema.
Yeah.
Some of the main ones. And I might just go and check out some other ones and see what effect it has. You guys know I'm always testing different things, different setups, different combinations. So those are two different things. Should you add it to the SEO Shield? I wouldn't. What I would do is I would get a link in those to the G site or to the SEO Shield and build links. Or if they have a link going to your website, build links to that citation. Make that citation as powerful as possible, because it will rank and it will push power, not necessarily link equity, but it'll push power over to your entity. So it's just a way of reinforcing the entity. Co-citation, citation, co-occurrence, all of this referencing of your nodes in all these different places are what powers up your entity better than anybody else's, because nobody else is doing it. Nobody even knows how. So you're way ahead of the game when you start referencing the different material that's out, or the different pages or profiles that are out there the right way.
Agreed. And yeah, so just to clarify, that I do include, and not always, but I usually will include the very most powerful citations in the same as schema for the business, but I don't usually include them in the actual Drive Stack build as links to be built to in the Drive Stack, in other words. So, because if I'd always take my Drive Stack, the G site, and embed my money site pages, right? So we do 1-to-1 ratio. That's called theme mirroring. And so I always end up embedding my corresponding money site page into the G site anyways. And my money site page is going to have schema in it. So it's going to end up, essentially having schema injected into the G site through the embed from my money site anyway. So it's still referenced. It's just not like the citations are referenced in same as only. And again, I only do that with the most powerful citations according to Google. I don't do it like with all of them. I've seen some people that have same as, that's, dozens and dozens, if not over 100 links. And that's fine. I typically don't do that. So anyway, moving on. Next question. Dan says, hey guys, I've got a syndication network. It's a YouTube syndication network, and then SEO Shield and NQ is the Rys Drive Stack. This is for a competitive market, spiritual meditation and mindfulness based on your keyword research package. Which link package would be best at this point to show the greatest effect for these tough keywords? Thanks much. Well, the Nitro kit, which is the high level kit, the third pre-bundled package of links, that's probably the most cost effective and will get you, if you're in a competitive niche, I wouldn't go with anything less. If that makes sense. Comments?
Yeah, Danoman, if you were in the heavy hitter club, I just posted in there on the type of link building packages and embed packages that I get when I'm going after something that's hyper competitive. So, I mean, I always see you coming in here and asking questions. If you want to move your game up to where it should be, to know what it is that you should be doing besides what you've already done, that's the place to be, because I covered this exact scenario. What should I do? Showing people how it is that I build my link building packages, and then an embed package plus link building.
Yeah. He says, I should have let you know that
I should have let you know that the Rys Drive Stack Expansion was for spirituality, likely being the hardest keyword to rank for, and spiritual enlightenment being the main keyword in the expansion. Yeah. So again, what I recommend, Dan, is if you're doing expansions for each silo, which you should, that's right, that's correct. Then once the expansion is done, you'll have the list of URLs. When you get the spreadsheet delivered to you from MGYB, you're going to have like the list of all the files and URLs that were created in that expansion. Now those, you extract all those, put them in a notepad file, that becomes your target URL list for a link building package. And what I would do is segregate or separate all of your individual silos out so that you have separate target URL files. And each one of those would get its own link building campaign. Because then the keywords that you're going to submit, a minimum of 200, looks like you got the deep keyword package, deep keyword research gig from us. So you already have probably well over 200 keywords per silo. So then you would have, essentially you would submit each keyword set for each silo specific to that link building gig for that particular silo. Does that make sense? So again, it's a way to stay really, really relevant, topically relevant, and very tight keyword themes. And that's the way that I would do it. So it's, in my opinion, it's way better. That's the way that I always do it when I do RYS expansions. Like for example, I use this all the time because this is all I do anymore is tree service stuff. Tree service is the general keyword, right? That's the overall arching top level market keyword. And then some potential silos, even though that it's not necessary to have silos for this, would be tree removal and tree trimming, right? Those would be two separate silos. And so if I'm going to do an RYS expansion for tree removal, for example, I'm going to extract all the URLs from the tree removal expansion. Then I'm going to have a separate set of keywords that is just tree removal related keywords. And then I will have another one for tree trimming stuff with tree trimming and pruning related keywords. Does that make sense? And then I could hit all three with the overall set of tree service keywords because that covers all of them included. But usually when I separate out silos, like I said, I have separate keyword sets that are more relevant or tightly themed around that particular silo. So any comments on that?
Yeah. When looking at something like this, you have to be really careful, especially with a keyword like spirituality. What's the aim? Because I'm sure that the aim isn't to rank for spirituality, because that could be anything. Excuse me. There are a ton of keywords that are related to spirituality that you're probably trying to rank for. So although the end goal would be trying to rank for the keyword spirituality, I bet that the competition for that is through the roof. So by trying to rank for that keyword, you're going to rank for the keywords that are down one notch below that. So we're talking about market level or top level keyword, then the market level keywords that are going to bring the money, then the supporting keywords. To put it in a today kind of sense, we're talking about a named entity, we're talking about a main entity, and we're talking about supporting entities. And how it is that you use those, because we're even writing content where we focus in this manner: named entity, main entity, supporting entities. Because that's how the bot is meant to look at this. Is there a main entity for, or a named entity for whatever it is that you're trying to do, spirituality being one? And if there is a named entity, how closely are you matching the meaning of this named entity? Or how closely are you dealing with any questions regarding the word spirituality? And then how do you fill that database in Google? Questions and answers work really well, especially in something like this, where it's very informational, where you will be giving Google the questions and the answers, but you have to be focused. You have to know what your, again, named entity, main entity, and the supporting entities are, or else you're just going to be way off base. And you could get it to where, are you meaning religion? Are you meaning what spirituality are you directly referring to? You're talking about meditation. You're talking about mindfulness. Are these the three categories that you gave us to research? Because if you did, then we gave you a whole bunch of main keywords for each one of these categories, and supporting keywords and questions and answers. And we gave you the stuff from Answer the Public. We gave you the stuff from now I can't remember the name of that. We use so many websites. to give you the keyword research. What Google gave us back, what Google Ads, what people are targeting in Google Ads, so that everything together will allow you to focus on this. But the only way that you can make sense of this, and I'm going to say it again, it's the Heavy Hitter Club. That's where all of this technical knowledge is being shared. It's not being given away for free. If you don't know what a named entity is, then go watch the charity webinars, because I had Dixon Jones covered just that very subject.
Very cool. Okay. By the way, I found actually through the Conversion AI community, somebody posted some training about how to get better results, and they pointed out this Chrome extension called SEO Minion. It's fabulous. It's really, really good. So for example, spiritual, see if I can get this right, Enlightenment. Okay, see, I knew I was going to spell it wrong. Okay, so this is SEO Minion. It's a free plugin, and it's for Chrome, or Chrome extension, I should say. And it's got a lot of really cool stuff in there. But one of the things that I like about it the best is you can go to FAQ, and you can actually pull in the top questions. Let's see, people also ask, excuse me, that's what I wanted. And if we go to people also ask, like 20 clicks, for example, what it does, and it's actually pulling in the data right now, and then it's going to prompt a CSV download. But what it does is, you see all the people also ask here. Every single time you click on one of these, it creates like another 3 or 4 questions. So for example, if I click on this one, you'll see how all of a sudden it adds another like 4 of those. So if you go up here and you click on the PA, people also ask suggestions, and you click like 50 and say go, it's going to actually go and extract and just keep clicking on it. And once it's all done, it will pull all of those questions and answers and the link to the, where the answer is published. And now you have a CSV file of all the questions. People also ask questions directly from Google that you can now create content around for FAQs. And it's interesting. The reason I point this out is because there are a few tools out there. See, it just prompted it now. There are a few tools out there that you can pay for that will do this. And this is free. And it's funny because I almost bought a tool the other day that, like, seriously, like a week and a half ago, that had a monthly subscription for exactly what this thing does. And this is 100% free. It's called SEO Minion. So check it out. It's a really cool Chrome extension. All right, moving on. Next question is from BB. What's up, BB? He says, hey guys, just for understanding, how many days do you work in a week and how many hours each day? And how many should you work when starting in medium stage, and of course your level? Okay, those are good questions, BB. Right now, because I'm like OCD about things, I'm working like literally at a minimum of 12 hours a day, at least 5 days a week. But on the weekends that I don't have my daughter, then I'm usually working at least one day over the weekend. So I'm working 5 or 6 days a week right now at about 12 hours a day, sometimes as much as 14. Like last night I worked yesterday over 14 hours, but that's because I'm OCD and, I'm obsessive compulsive, I should say, about things. And I'm hot on the trail of some projects that I've been working on that I'm so close to some pretty big breakthroughs. So like, that's all I can fucking think about is like, I mean, I go to bed thinking about this stuff and I wake up thinking about it. And so all I want to do is work on it. But, up until about 3 months ago, when I started my new agency, I was working a lot less than that across a few different businesses, but I was working typically about 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then I would, I almost always took my weekends off more in the last 3 months or so, because again, I'm hot on the trail of some projects that I've been working on. Again, it's because I have the desire and the motivation to just work on this. So, I'm working a hell of a lot more. So it varies. I go through different stages of how much time I devote towards my businesses. And right now I'm at, the startup phase of a new agency. So it's requiring a hell of a lot more time and effort. There's an interesting analogy that I heard a couple of months ago, I guess, in one of the audiobooks that I was listening to. It was talking about, any new endeavor it has a lot of inertia, right? And it's very much like a locomotive, right? A train, like a freight train on a train track that's stopped. right? You know how much mass those things have and how much energy it takes to start it to get it to start moving. It takes so much force to get something that massive that's at a dead stop to begin moving. So once it begins moving, though, it requires just a fraction of the energy to keep it moving. It's very similar to a rocket launching off of a, launching off a launch pad. It takes an enormous amount of energy to get it to start moving. But once it starts moving, it requires just a fraction of the energy to keep it moving. And so that's kind of where I'm at with my new agency. So I think it depends. It depends on where you're at with your business, and also kind of what your own personal, how what your own work habits are and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, mine goes in cycles, and right now it's like balls to the wall. But I'm excited about it, and I'm happy doing it because it's, I can see the momentum building, and I know that it's going to be very lucrative when it does finally get off the ground. So that's my take on it. What about you, Marco?
I am obsessive also, not in a good way either. I've been known to grab onto code. I mean, this is a story I always share. I misplaced a comma in PHP. And for about a month, I did nothing but, I didn't know it was a comma, but I did nothing but try to find out why I had a broken website. Literally. And I'm talking about working like 3 days straight, no sleep, 4 days straight, no sleep, crashing for like 16, 20 hours, and then back at it 3-4 more days. Not a good way to do things, but I mean, 72 hours of work, and you'll get shit done. Of course, it's not healthy. I'm not recommending that you do this, but I'm known to go to those extremes. RYS Academy Reloaded, working weekends and holidays to get it out, to get it done, because it was so much fun. There was just so much to do. There were so many new things, and new things were coming up. Right now, I am forbidden from working weekends by especially by my kids, right? They just, no, because I don't have to. There's always somebody who can do what I can do, not as well. But if I can get 70% of me, I have one of the best employees that I can find. And so that's what I try now. I don't try to get 100% of me, because that person is only me. What I try to get is someone who is able to do the things that I ask in a timely manner. And so I have someone on weekends, and I have someone on holidays. People get paid for doing all of that so that I can be with my children the time that they need from me. I try to get off my computer by 6 p.m., even though I'm up at 5 a.m. just about every day. So that doesn't mean that I'm not getting other things done or that I'm not doing other things. But as far as work things, and I do a whole bunch of different things, I try to make it from 9 in the morning, my time in Costa Rica, until 5 or 6 sometimes in the afternoon. But that's because I have a lot of people helping me. I've already tried doing the one-man gang thing, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because I burn myself out, and you end up at a point where you collapse literally from exhaustion, and your body can't. Your number one, your heart, and number two, your mind cannot handle that kind of you taxing it in that way, and you asking so much of it in that way. So I don't know if that answers your question. Well, how many days a week and how many hours? 5 days a week. I'm at about, I'll say 36 to 40 hours, but I've been known to go, I don't know, 100 hours more in a week if needed. I hope that never happens again.
Yeah. Unless you had the desire to, and that's the thing. Sometimes you get, again, like right now, I mean, it's all I want to do is work on this stuff. Like, honestly, even when I want to take, and it looks like Adam's going to jump in too. So, but even like, sometimes at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, because I start my work day around 8 a.m. Officially, it's not till 9 a.m. But I'm now, especially, I jump in, as soon as I get back from the gym in the mornings, which is usually around 8, and I get right on my computer and try to, again, because I just got so much work to do right now. And so usually by like 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, okay, I need to shut this shit off, go sit on the couch and watch TV for an hour and, unwind it and go to bed. And you know, the problem is I go sit on the couch, and then as I'm sitting on the couch trying to unwind, I'm thinking about all the fucking stuff that I could be doing. And so I can't even enjoy like the downtime because I'm just always like obsessing about what needs to be done. And I don't know, I don't think it's in a bad way, because it's, you know, we interviewed CT Fletcher many years ago now, and he called it his magnificent obsession. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And I haven't felt this way about digital marketing in years, like no shit. So I'm riding the wave while it still exists. And I think it varies at different times and where you are with your career and that sort of thing. So Adam, please.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for that video. I'll post the YouTube link up with CT Fletcher. That's a good one. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in, just to offer some different opinions, because I think this is such a personal thing that I'm happy to share what I do, and then to kind of add my 2 cents on what I think people should try. And so like for myself in general, it's like 4 to 4.5 days. And I several years ago just carved out like Wednesday afternoon. So for me, I'm on the West Coast. So it's 1:30 in the afternoon for me. After we wrap up Hump Day Hangouts, it's in my calendar. I take off and I go for a run. Sometimes I'm really pinched for time and I still go for a run and I come back and finish some stuff up. But most of the times I try to wrap things up. And that's just to give myself a break in the week and to kind of get out and do something that I still enjoy. And I also know with myself, I need time to just think things over and to let things kind of ruminate and to review in my head. And that's when I get my best work done. Not just from that, but as a result of having that time. And so if I'm constantly doing, then my output suffers in the long term. And I'm not saying that I can't do that, because there's times where you got to grind, you got to get shit done, whether it's like yesterday and the day before where I interviewed 9 people in 2 days. It's like, I do not want to do that every week, but that's necessary for the growth I want to have. So getting it done is fine. But yeah, finding that balance for yourself. And if you're happy and you're comfortable and your relationships are good and you're okay with your life and you're working 10 hours, then that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You know, for myself, I'm, angling a little bit different way, and I know where I operate the best and what kind of work I enjoy. So I think that you should play around with that. The only thing I will say is if you want time to do other things, like review your work, to learn, start putting this stuff into your calendar, because I know a lot of people have a really hard time with this. And there's 2 things you can do. You either put it in your calendar and live by your calendar, or you do the important shit first. You know, like Bradley says, going to the gym first thing in the morning. There's a reason he doesn't do it at night, right? That's right. So those are my 2 big pieces of advice for people, is to do the important shit first and use your calendar.
Yeah. And I just want one more thing I want to comment on that. And I totally agree with what, I go back and forth from using, daily planners and not using them. And right now I'm using one. It's not the Best Self Journal. It's called Get Stuff Done. It's very similar to the Best Self Journal, but I definitely find, that I get more done when I have a plan and I use a daily planner. Plus it helps me to stay on track, especially when I have bigger goals. And I think that's really important. And one of the things that I had avoided over the years was I've never been a big fan of like learning a shit ton of different, softwares or software or applications, software apps, whatever you want to call them, because I'm just not a tech geek, and I have never been when it came to that kind of stuff. So for years I avoided trying to learn how to use different software apps to automate things and to make my own job more efficient. I always just preferred developing a crude process for how to do something manually, then delegating that to a virtual assistant, giving them the process so that they could learn it, and then telling them, figure out a way to make it more efficient since you're going to be the one doing it. And I would let them do all that shit. But in the last few months, since I started my new agency, I decided, okay, there are certain apps that I know I need to learn I need to become proficient with, which are going to it's going to be an enormous amount of work up front because there's a learning curve with all these things. But once I get the hang of all these things, it's going to make my business grow with less overhead and less management, because I won't have to manage as many VAs, and it will make it to where the work is even more consistent. And so, like for example, High Level being one of them. High Level, they roll out so many new features in High Level, it's really hard to keep up with. It really is. And so I designate time out on a weekly basis to go review new training and play around with some of the new features that have been launched. For example, I just yesterday, and I didn't even have this schedule. Well, it's been on my planner for about a week and a half. Every day I write it down. But yesterday I decided to use the Facebook integration with High Level, which integrates Facebook Messenger directly into High Level, so you can communicate in High Level and stuff. And I ended up going down a rabbit hole, and I ended up spending about 3.5 hours yesterday working on that and developing some automations and things like that. But, you know, and so it put everything else off that pushed back a lot of other things that were on my calendar for the day yesterday that I'm behind on now. But it was one of like a big, like, you know, one of those things that was a relief. I got it done. And for like a week and a half, every single day, I've been writing in my other tasks, what would be nice to cross off your list, your to-do list. I've been writing that down, like Facebook Messenger integration with High Level. And so every single day I've been writing that shit down for like a week and a half. And so yesterday I just said, that's it, crossing this one on my list. And I did it. And I think that's important. You know, that's one of the things that I like about the daily planners is there are sections for things like that, like things that you want to get done that would be nice to get done, but they're not priorities. But if you keep writing it down every single day, it comes a point where it's like, you just get tired of writing it down. So it's either just don't do it, and then you know that you just didn't do it, or just get it done so that you can get it off your damn list and stop writing it down. And so those are like little hacks that I use to kind of force myself to get things done that I would otherwise let slip by. So
yeah, my planner is Google Calendar still to this day. I can't live life without my Google Calendar.
Agreed. All right, so next question. And that was a great question, by the way, baby. Next question is it better to write semi-good article to rank or go for very in-depth article, but it will take more time to write? Depends on what you're trying to do. In my opinion, you're better off spending the time creating a long-form, in-depth article that is going to become a powerhouse article, and then save your semi-good articles as supporting articles, right? To create like a silo around a focus page, or I guess other people call it cornerstone content or whatever. But if you have a focus page on your site that you're trying to rank for competitive terms, spend the time developing the content, long form content. Make sure it's, you know, written for the semantic web. In other words, and again, Marco talks about this kind of stuff in the Heavy Hitter Club, but they're, you know, using tools that help you to flesh it out. So where it's referencing the proper entities, the theme is correct, all of that kind of stuff. And that shit takes time. But I think you're way better off spending the time on one really, really good article than doing a bunch of, you know, or several, you know, lesser articles and trying to achieve the same results. Because if you have one good article, then you can always create supporting posts within a silo that link back up to that article to help push it. But in my opinion, like, you know, again, I got away from doing a lot of long form content for a long time. Well, now with the help of Jarvis and Conversion AI, it's becoming a hell of a lot easier to produce content. So I prefer long form content for stuff that I'm trying to rank, and then I use supporting articles to help push it when needed. That's my take on it. Next.
Yeah, I'm going to say it depends. Because what are you trying to accomplish? And you should be trying to accomplish conversions. And then the answer to that is, which is better? It'll be which is best. Which converts best? Does long form convert better or best? Or does long form convert best? Or does a picture convert? Does an iframe convert? Sometimes you don't even have to write content as long as you focus on the entities correctly. That's how it is now. It's actually how it's always been. As long as you deliver something that is focused on the pain that the person is feeling when they come to you for answers, then that's the best content. If you're not focused on that from the beginning, then you can write for the bot all day long, and it's not going to matter, because the person that comes to your content is not going to find the answer that they're looking for. Focus on both. Whether it's long form, short form, the entity has to be there, of course, the supporting, the named entity, if there is one, or make yourself a named entity, hint, hint. And at the same time, write for the person that's coming to you for an answer, because it makes no sense to write five, I don't know, going down, scrolling infinitely through garbage If I can't find what I'm looking for, and maybe I'm trying to find the phone number, that's all I'm looking for. That's all I want from you. A phone number, it's content. Yes, it is, but it could be just a button that says, call me now. So I'm going to go back. It depends on what you're trying to do.
Well, he asked in his question about ranking specifically. That's why I said that, because
you can rank with just an iframe.
well, I understand that, but what I'm saying is if you've got, if you're in I haven't been able to rank just an iframe against, long form content, if that's the norm for that particular industry. And again, so I try to, mimic what the top ranked pages are doing as far as content length and things like that. I totally agree with what Marco's saying about conversions, but I'm talking about specifically for SEO purposes. I try to develop more longer form content for those types of art, content that require that, because they're competing with other types of long form content. But again, I do all local stuff, and all of my sites are optimized for conversions. They're, lead gen type sites where the contact form is above the fold, tap to call button, all that kind of stuff. I totally agree. It's about conversions. That's what we should be focusing on. But in order to get people to the site, I need to focus on ranking. And so a lot of times I've been starting to focus a lot more on content recently because of some of the tools that have made things easier to develop content. And it's not just the number of words, it's also how you optimize the content. So like conversion AI using Jarvis, for example, is great for spitting out content, but then you still have to go tune the content, right? You still have to go optimize it. You can't just spit out a 2,000 word article from conversion AI, right? And then just paste it into a WordPress post or blog or whatever and expect that to rank because of the length of content. You still have to optimize it. And that's where, some of the other tools, Surfer SEO, Marco talks about inlinks. I've still not used inlinks yet, but some of these other tools out there that you can use to help optimize the content for SEO. And so I use now conversion AI to spit out a lot of content, and then I use other tools to tune it, and then I publish it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what I'm now seeing in GMB, especially since I use it for other things than how it was intended, is that Google, since it sometimes displays a two-pack or even just a one result in the map pack, it doesn't even show the click to call button. It'll show visit the website. So that person is coming over. If you've done your job and that post got that person's attention, they're coming over to the website to do whatever it is that they're going to do, which is give me that phone number because I'm trying to call. So that action, activity, relevance, trust, and authority, is what's going to help it rank. You could have, as I said, an iframe on that page, where now what's happened, it's really interesting because now it's all one umbrella. You can't really separate this one thing from this other thing because all of these different factors come in. So yes, long form does have a place in it, especially if the competition has it, but that doesn't exclude you from ranking other ways. It doesn't, you don't 100% have to have long form. There are other ways you can get. I mean, you've done it with your branding and ads, of course, we'll do it. Getting people there from Facebook, from Instagram, and from other places will help you rank because of the signals that people are sending back to Google. And so it's just, what was it that you called it just recently? Your brand of SEO, where it was all encompassing. It wasn't just focusing on one thing, but taking a look at everything that's available and applying whatever it is that you have to this. So if you just focus on content and you think that's the end all to it all, you're absolutely wrong, BB, because that's not the focus. That's a part of it, and it could be a big part of it. But I'm going to tell you, art, activity, relevance, trust, and authority will overcome anything. I have a website that just went up to around, client site that went up to $400,000, over $400,000 in a 3-month period, where the guy was doing $90K a year, and the website has hardly any content. And so I'm going to say it again. It depends on what your focus is. And if your sole focus is that content, without doing, as Bradley said, you focus on the entity, you tune it, you make sure that it's set up for conversions and it's optimized for conversions, then you just wasted a whole lot of time writing a whole bunch of something that nobody's going to see.
Yeah. So Toby's up. He says, what press release services can you recommend? Press Advantage, which if you,
that's it.
Which I mean, you can order press releases from Press Advantage like through MGYB. So that's for one-offs. If you wanted, if you're doing a lot of press releases, then you're going to want to get your own subscription. I think we still have an offer for that, which I don't know if we do or not. Maybe Adam can jump in if he knows. Do we still have the
site switching? I can't access our notes, but I believe there's a deal if you go to semanticmastery.com/press advantage.
Press Advantage, I think.
Or he can just go to MGYB and order his press releases.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying if you're doing volume though, you're going to want a subscription for sure. You know, and there's been opportunities where Jeremy, the owner of or co-owner of Press Advantage, has we've done webinars for subscription services too, but he closes it off. You know, it's been opened and closed a few times, so I don't know if it's still available right now or at what level. If you're doing a lot of volume, then you know it's always in your best interest, in my opinion, to have a subscription. But if you're not, then yeah, just get it from MGYB. That way you don't have the monthly expense. If you're not using them regularly and have a high volume need for it, then there's no reason to have a subscription. You could just buy them from MGYB. But that's the same service. We are a reseller for Press Advantage under MGYB. But what's really cool about that is, you know, it's such an integral part of what we do. And so much of what Jeremy has developed into the Press Advantage platform has been because of, you know, collaborating with us. And so it's just a great relationship, and can't say enough good things about it. Moving on. Aaron, yes, I see that Adam already answered you, but Jarvis is just the name of the AI bot for conversion AI. There's a learning curve with that too. There's no question. I'm still learning how to get better results out of it, but it does speed things up. There's no question. It's good to have. Moving on. I think we're about done. Dan says, now that I have a syndication network and SEO Shield set up, what to you is a good weekly video post frequency? For videos, it doesn't, like, here's the thing. I've not seen a limit to the number of videos you can publish where it causes any sort of problem. In fact, years ago, now we're talking like 2014 maybe, I had gotten back from the Network Empire certification event, and they had a video silo plugin that would create silos on a site, and it was just using YouTube API. So it would pull in YouTube videos to create like these auto video traffic sites or something they called it. And it was crazy because you had to have a special server for those sites because it would pull in so many, and it would just publish. And like the database would grow so huge for those WordPress sites because of the sheer number of posts that it would pull in and publish from YouTube videos. And I had them connected to syndication networks. And I mean, sometimes there'd be hundreds of videos published in a day. No kidding. It was unbelievable. And for the most part, I mean, occasionally some of the syndication network profiles would get terminated, but it was very rare. And the reason why, and let me rephrase that. If I imported the video descriptions to what those would also, if I also publish the video descriptions as opposed to just the embed, then oftentimes the syndication network properties or profiles would get suspended. And that's because most people spam the shit out of their video descriptions, right? You guys have seen it. You guys have probably done it, right? And so I don't recommend that. But when you're just republishing videos, like the embed codes themselves, I've not seen that create any sort of issue. So what should be the maximum? Really, you should kind of determine like what's going to produce the results that you're seeking. And again, I would also go back to what is others in your industry doing, and you want to try to meet or exceed that typically. But again, it's all about what are you trying to accomplish and what volume or frequency of publishing will help you to reach that goal. So it's not necessarily a number thing because when it comes to blog posts, that's different. And again, it depends on the industry, right? Like in a technology space, there could be several posts per day or a dozen posts per day or whatever, and that's normal. But if you had a roofing blog, and you were trying to do 12 posts a day, I think that would be overkill and potentially, could cause some problems. So I think it's really going to depend. Any comments on that?
I totally agree. It depends on what niche you're in. What's the competition doing? Do one more, and then power up everything else, and then it's guys. There's no question with what we do whether you're going to rank. The question is, how badly are you going to beat up the competition? That's how it is right now. It's literally that simple. I'm not going to say easy, but if you do the system, you work the system, you work the processes, you do as we say do, as we show you in the training, and it's a done deal. And it happens time after time after time. I'm showing it time after time how it just hockey sticks. We have a question, by the way, from Scott Walker in the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it looks like Adam answered it, but
oh, did he?
Yeah, he did. We can cover it. We got about 4 minutes. He says, one of my clients insists on approving all GMB posts that will be shared on Facebook. We are producing 15 GMB posts per week. Any ideas about what I can do?
I have an idea. Fire the client.
Yeah. That was going to be my first answer, but I was going to give him a, yeah, I understand. No, you ought to check. Occasionally AppSumo has some pretty good deals on collaborative apps that help for content producers. I've seen some in the recent months. I don't know if anything, I don't use those because I typically don't have that kind of an issue with my clients either, like Marco does. Usually my clients just hand the content over to me and just say, do it. Just get the leads coming in. I don't care what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's typically how I do it. But I know that some of our mastermind members have even brought to my attention some of those apps that help to collaborate between client and agencies and even content writers for that matter. That helps kind of speed that whole process up. So I would look on AppSumo, Product Hunt, Capterra, some of those like app marketplaces that are for, funding the apps, and look for some stuff that you can get on a lifetime deal and start testing. What I love about AppSumo is you get 60 days to test and you can refund, no questions asked. So I've been buying the shit out of AppSumo apps lately, and I try them. And if I don't like them or whatever, I just refund it. And it's a great way to get some really good deals.
Yeah, I just wanted to toss in my 2 cents on this. So I also use Notion for this since it's based on calendar. So Scott, if you're interested in seeing some of that, I can record a video for you. Just hit me up privately. But for other people who are doing this, if you could batch this, then you could just share like a Google Doc where they're all at. And maybe when a new file's added, you could set up a Zap that sends an email to the client, or you tell them, hey, every Monday check, there's going to be a new one. If we don't hear from you, it's going out, something, whatever makes sense. Of course, if you have regulations, then they have to review it, but set it up so it makes sense, automate what you can, and then don't get hung up on making it 100% automated. Just get it going and then you'll figure out the rest.
Yeah.
Check the call. What do you? Oh God! Check the call log. Is what I would tell a guy. Check the call log. If you disagree with that, then we can talk about the post. Other than that, shut the fuck up, man. I'm making you money. What else is there to talk about?
Client relationship management 101.
Yeah, not from me. Not from me, because you're gonna make money and then complain about making money. No, or approve about I don't get it. I'm sorry.
We got about a minute and a half left. Dan had a follow-up question. He said, also, does it make sense to buy a new syndication network for the blog or on the money site to be the RSS feed? And is weekly posts a good number here, or 2 to 3 because of higher competition? Again, I can't give you a straight answer on the number of posts because I don't know what industry. I'd have to, what the norm is and all that kind of stuff. But I can tell you, you don't need a separate syndication network for your blog. If it's the same entity, the same brand, use the same network, unless you were just publishing blog posts, which were just republished YouTube videos from your YouTube channel that you've already published to the syndication network. If you were doing that, and again, because a lot of guys that do SEO, like video SEO, and I haven't been doing that kind of stuff in years, but would have companion sites or WordPress sites that were their, for their brand, but all they were doing was using that as a broadcaster for their videos because they were really doing video SEO. And so if you have YouTube triggering your syndication network, and then all you do is take the video that you published on YouTube and then go create a post on WordPress and then publish it again to the same syndication network with really little to no changes, then it's going to be like duplicate posts on your syndication network. And it's not a problem for SEO, but it's a problem for the platforms, because if they think it's a duplicate post, they're going to, and you do that repeatedly, they'll terminate the account. Yep. But if you were, and again, I don't know that that's what you're doing, but that's what a lot of people have done in the past, and it will cause issues with your syndication network. But if you were to take those same videos that you publish to your YouTube channel and then create blog posts, like valid blog posts that you're just embedding that video in with, additional text content and all that other kind of stuff, then that's fine as well, because they're not going to look as duplicate posts on the syndication network. But again, if you have one brand and you're doing YouTube syndication to it, but then you also have a blog or a money site that you're going to be blogging from, then use that same one, because it helps to build topical relevancy and authority back to the brand. You don't need a separate network for that. And I would recommend against a separate network in that case. All right. Last question, and we're done, guys. So we're a minute over anyways. Toby says, is Syndication Academy teaching how to build your own press release distribution network? Not specifically, but you can take those same methods and do that, right? Syndication networks are going to teach you how to create syndication networks. You can use them for whatever you want. You can create press release distribution networks from Syndication Academy, because you can go out and create a whole bunch of self-hosted WordPress sites as your trigger, like your primary trigger, and then have syndication networks around each one of those. And then you can use your press release, like in our case, Press Advantage organization has its own RSS feed. So every single time we publish a press release to a particular brand or company, it automatically, because I do that now with all my syndication networks, the organization page RSS feed is another set of applets, is used as a trigger for another set of applets in IFTTT to trigger syndicating to the branded network. So yes, you can create press release distribution networks using Syndication Academy methods. Any comments?
Nope.
Dunsky.